Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So I want to ask a quick question. Do you trust yourself? And there's, I think, many answers to that. I don't trust myself when I'm walking past an ice cream store because I'll be in there, and that's whether I'm on a diet or not. But there's different ways that you can trust in yourself to move your life forward. And she's going to help us. I trust her. I totally trust her to help us along with that. And Kathy D. Carter joins us. She is a master Reiki practitioner, an energy healer. She's intuitive, and it's great to have you back on, Kathy. How you doing?
Hi, Steve. I'm doing great today, and I'm glad to be here.
So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to flip the whole thing over to you. Do you trust yourself?
Do I trust myself? Most of the
Most of the time.
That is an issue all of us have trouble with, because it's like some would view it the battle between your higher self and the egoic self, the human egoic self, because we want what we want and we want it now. The ice cream, for example. We'll take care of the diet later. We'll take care of the clogged arteries later. We want it now. And trusting yourself is a process. I mean, think about the gut feeling of trusting yourself walking down a dark alley in a strange city where you don't belong, and 10 people walk out that do not look nice. You're going to get a gut feeling. Are you going to trust that gut feeling that you may need to turn around and go the other way real quick? Or we can have, do you trust yourself when your intuition whispers, are you sure you want to do that? Is that what we wanted to do? Is that what we've agreed to? Intuition whispers. There's a difference. There's two different, I guess, levels is what I'm trying to say of trusting yourself. There's that gut instinct that just knocks you in the gut and says, get the hell out of here. It's a survival type gut instinct. Then we have the intuition, which grows as we rise in vibrational frequency. Our trusting our intuition in that sense increases with our vibrational frequency, because it just whispers. It's not going to demand. It's not going to keep saying something over and over. That's what the ego does. And learning that difference and learning to trust yourself, knowing which it is a large part of the game.
How do you know the difference between your gut and your intuition? Because to me, they're kind of interchangeable, right?
They are. The point I guess I was trying to make is that when it is a survival scream to your body that you're in danger, it is a different feel than when the intuition is talking to you. Oh, this is the better way to go. Not that.
Yeah, I get it. It's almost like the fight or flight emergency thing.
Yes.
Like, boop, 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 that's for me, in my understanding or processing of it, that's even past the gut. That's just don't be stupid. Like, hello, I'm trying to tell you something. But I've recently got a better grasp on the gut feeling, and that could be the intuitive feeling. And somebody said it, and I was like, yeah, okay. The gut feeling is more of a lighter feel. And that's what you should be doing or listening to. If it's more of a heavy kind of feeling, your gut is saying, bad idea. That's and you're still thinking about it, and you just feel like you're being weighed down. That's your indication that, that's just not the right idea. You want to rethink that, or think about the other side, the other signal that you're getting.
It's kind of like, let's say you're at the airport and you see this person in line, and something sparks, and they're a couple lines over, and you're thinking, wow, I'm feeling a pull here, and everything says say hi. Do you trust yourself, and do you go ahead and reach out, or do you dismiss it with all your past conditioning of all the beliefs of, oh no, I'm not going to impose, and I don't want to look too, like I'm putting myself out there in their face and all of that kind of stuff? Your intuition will say, take this road. And you know that that's not the quickest way. You know that it might make you late. Are you going to trust your intuition? It probably won't repeat itself, but you're going to feel that knowing of, I need to turn left.
Mm.
And you don't need to know why. If you learn to really trust your intuition, you won't question it. And that's hard. It's very hard.
I was just, before you finished talking, I was just about to say that's not easy.
Right.
It really isn't getting to that point. But I can tell you, based on my experience over the years, that anytime I didn't trust my gut, like the major decisions, I was wrong, like massively wrong. And I know them. I could go back in a timeline where I was, what I was doing when I said, nah, and I knew it was wrong. Like, listen, hello. And I'm like, it'll be okay. Just go with it. You know, deep inside, you know, but it's getting to that point where you trust yourself, which is why we brought this up today. It's not always easy to trust yourself. Do you think, Kathy, it just comes with experience, like knowing that you accepted what your inner being said, and then it was right then, it was right then, it was right then?
Part of it comes with just practice. It's like building a muscle. Your intuition has always been there, but to learn to hear it and trust it is a whole different ballgame. And it's part of the healing path, in my opinion, because as we learn to trust it, it takes us on the quicker, more direct journey to where our soul is wanting us to get to. So when we, as you were saying, you made the comment that you made the wrong decision and you knew it later anyway. It's really not wrong on the planet Earth. That's the beautiful thing. We can't really make a wrong decision. True, there's some decisions better than others, but we learn. Think of all the stuff you learned from those decisions.
Well, that is true. That is true. But at the same time, I knew what the right decision was. But for whatever reason, I may have been too far in direction here where I just couldn't even pull the plug on something at that moment. It was just like, it's a bad idea, but I'm going to move forward with it because I'm already half, 3/4 way there, and it is what it is. But you know internally. So does that have a lot to do with your conscious and subconscious mind?
Well, depending on your definition of conscious and subconscious, yes, in a sense, because if you have allowed your mind to have control over your life, which most people do because of the stored emotion in the energy field, that has an energy and that controls your life. So your subconscious is controlling your life more than you realize.
Okay. Well, I always hear that you're only using 10% of your, conscious portion of your brain. That's it. I mean, the rest is all subconscious. You're only tapping into the 10% of being truly aware.
And yes, and part of that goes with, sometimes when people's talking in those terms, they're talking more of our learning ability. Now, I don't believe that our learning ability in that sense of the conscious mind has as much impact on our intuition. I think that they can be anywhere on the IQ and still have an intuition, and they may be in touch with it, they may not. This is a practiced muscle, if you will, that you have to use because you have to be present to hear the intuition. The intuition whispers, and it won't yell at you. It won't repeat itself usually.
Yeah.
And what people miss.
You're totally right. And especially the part, and I didn't even think of it until you said it, but it doesn't repeat itself. That you're not getting a call back. That's it. And you need to act and react and be able to be aware of it, that you can take action on it. And it's really just, again, trusting in yourself and feeling that. Would you say, Kathy, that intuition is almost like a little bit of a psychic thing going on there?
Well, some people would say that. I don't think so. because I think there's people with more psychic abilities, and then everyone has intuition. I think they're separate.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
And what if you, let's say, ask somebody who's passed on, please give me direction. I need direction. I need to know what I should do, make the right choice. And then you feel that coming through and you make the choice and it turns out to be the right choice. Would that be some kind of psychic? You're tapping into some ability there?
Well, I would call that mediumship.
Okay.
I think you interchange the two, but yes and no, because I think at higher vibrational frequencies, we all have an innate ability to pick up on those things. But we have many different vibrational frequencies going on in our body at the same time. Lots of things make up our total vibrational frequency, if you want to put it that way.
Mhm.
So someone may be in the zone where they could ask a past loved one and get information. And I myself would not call that intuition. I would call that more mediumship of speaking with the spirit.
Same here. Same here. So I have a question. We talk about the higher vibration. And just to recap, if anybody has missed it when we talked about it in the past, is that we all have energy and we're all vibrating at a certain frequency. And that's how the energy is really determined, if you want to look at it that way from a scientific standpoint. How do you know that you've elevated your higher vibration? So let's say you're on a journey and you're doing things differently and you're in a more positive frame of mind. Is it invariably your energy has already popped up anyway?
What is interesting with all my clients is they never know that they have actually raised their vibrational frequency until they start hearing it from everyone else. And everyone says, wow, you look so good. What have you been doing lately? You've changed. And the person, having been on the healing path, is not totally aware. Usually they think they're going backwards because the work is hard. They get in that heavy part of it and it's hard and it takes a while. It depends on how much they trust themselves to keep moving forward and listening to what they should do. It's just like, I had this problem and I have a client that had it. They're in a job they shouldn't be in, but because of money and because of society and because of partnerships, well, I can't leave. But yet they're losing more money than they're making. They think they're making money, but if they're making themselves sick and they're going to be laid out, they're not going to be able to make money during that whole recovery time. And yet they won't trust themselves because they're more influenced by what everybody else thinks about what they decide.
It's so true. And we don't put a price on those other things. So that person in that job who isn't right for the job, doesn't want to be there, is blanking miserable. So you're putting a toll on yourself, not in a financial aspect, but even the people around you, you're pulling them because you're not happy with what you're doing. And thank you for validating what you just said about knowing that your vibrational frequency has now come up and you're in a better place along with your journey. Because I've experienced it. And even I have a small business, and even in the last couple of months, it's kind of popping a little bit. And I'm not even trying.
Nice.
I'm in a different place. Went somewhere today and spoke with somebody and they're like, yeah, we'll do business with you. And great. Hey, thank you. I was just being myself. That's it. This is what I can do for you. This is, I trust in what I can do, and just automatically. But doors didn't swing as easily in the past. And I don't think I was a radically different person, but I think it's the energy that comes off of you.
It totally is. And that's what people can't understand about. It's so hard to understand the law of attraction, because that's what it is. If you have good energy around you in your aura, in your energy field, the laws of energy in this, it's everything's energy. You have to pull in what you are vibrating.
Yeah. And I know it sounds like bunk to a lot of people. And oh yeah, law of attraction. Yeah, okay, blah, blah, blah. It's real.
It is.
The reason that people have been talking about it for pretty much centuries in different languages, is
Mhm.
because it is what it is and it works. If you put positive things out there, positive things are going to come back. That's just the way it works. If you're negative, who wants to be around somebody negative? I know it's rhetorical, but there you go. There's an elementary example of how that works.
Exactly. And it's like when a person says, well, everybody's being rude to me. See, that's the golden nugget to look inside and say, where am I being rude? I'm being rude, or I wouldn't have all these people in my life that's being rude.
Yeah.
That's the golden nugget of the healing when someone's ready, is to use that. Take it inside and say, where am I being rude?
Yep. I had that conversation with my daughter. And, with social media, we can get a little snarky. She's going back and forth with friends. I'm like, why are they treating me that way? Well, how are you treating them? What are you putting out there? And I'm trying to instill in her, just do the right thing. If you're going to respond to somebody, think about it. Respond in the right way. Don't try to be antagonistic to somebody. Just it's just going to be negative. And again, she's learning.
And
But
that's hard.
yeah,
It's hard for the kids to learn that, because when someone comes out and is antagonistic to them,
yeah,
that's your immediate response, is to reply that way. But it takes the higher frequency person to be able to say, maybe this is a person I don't want to be talking with.
right.
Maybe this person's in a bad spot. Let me give them some love. Let me give them something higher than where they're at.
Yep.
It all depends on the person and what they can do. But yes, you can turn those kind of situations around, or they will fall out of your life.
And once you start getting in the mode of doing what I call the right thing, you start feeling it internally, like you just feel nourished. I don't know if that
Yep.
makes sense, but fulfilled. Oh, okay. I don't know if I shared with you about a week or so ago, I was in a situation where somebody did something that wasn't really the right thing to do. And right away I wanted to react. And I'm like, wait a minute, tap the brakes. It's going to all resolve itself anyway. And I remember walking out of the gym to my car with this feeling of like, I know I'm doing the right thing and that's all good. And it's going to be good. It's going to be all right. And it was just a certain feeling that you have. Yeah. And the initial knee jerk was like, it's just like, tap the brakes, tap the brakes. Everything kind of works itself out if you try and do the right thing.
It does. And it's a self-love move too, because you're not taking yourself to the lower frequency of that person.
Right.
Because that's what happens. Lower or higher or lower frequencies from where you are will pull you to them. So in other words, if you're in a crowd of very low frequency people, you could end up lowering your frequency and doing what they're doing. If you're walk into a crowd of higher frequency people, you have the choice to be pulled to their frequency or close to it. I mean, sometimes it's hard to go totally there.
Interesting that you say that, because, well, two thoughts I immediately have. That old phrase, why would you want to lower yourself to that level? Well, now I know why. It's called the frequency. And number two, you ever go somewhere, let's say a party, you walk in, whatever it might be, and you're like, man, I like the vibe around here. Like, it's just like, it just feels good, because it's probably a lot of people with a higher frequency.
Yes.
Interesting. I know it's kind of obvious, but I usually don't always pick up on the obvious.
Well, and that's also a part of the healing path, is when you are able to stay present and feel and know what you're feeling, be able to interpret, oh, this doesn't feel so good. So let me check this out. Oh, this is really, everybody's drunk. Some of them's laying on the floor. This is not a good place for me to be. This is lower frequency than I want to participate in. And that's the conscious awareness of the present moment and what you're actually feeling energetically. And that's what people have trouble with, is because the stored emotion of the past can keep you pulled to the lower frequency. And you'll say, but these are my buddies. I love being with these guys. I'll be okay. And you talk yourself out of it.
Interesting that you say that, because it's And you probably know that you're not supposed to be connected with certain people, but you just keep going along. And that, is your point, why some of us need to heal, because there's stored emotion from the past that we haven't resolved. So what do? We gravitate toward whatever we're most comfortable with. And that could be people that are in a lower vibration and may not be and again, back to trusting yourself. You probably already know this. It's funny because my journey started in a certain direction, and I'm, surprised about the direction, but somebody said to me, somebody who's very intuitive, very psychic, yeah, you knew that. You knew that was going to go down that way. And I thought about that, and deep down inside, kind of did. But I wasn't ready to not accept it, but to trust it,
Well, it's hard to let go of the old familiar.
Yeah.
And there again, like I have mentioned before, we're taught everything the wrong way. So we're taught to be very nostalgic. We're taught to hang on to those memories, make memories, and then live in the past with those memories instead of let's create new. Let's live in the future of what we're creating and what we want to leave as a legacy on this planet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the legacy could be what is nostalgic, but sometimes not. It's right. So if somebody reaches out to you and they feel that they need to heal, no matter what it is, what's your starting point?
It depends on the person. It depends on where they are, because literally there's people that are still struggling with strict beliefs that they've been taught.
Mm.
There are people that are struggling with looking for love in an outside source so strongly that they can't see that.
What do you mean by that? Let's go back to that real quick.
Okay. For example, people that are looking for their love in an outside source are more guided by what everybody out there is going to say and think of them than what they know in their heart they need. It's just like the quitting the job that you shouldn't be at. The place is moldy. You have problems with mold. The people are being rude to you. They're changing your schedule. They're doing everything they can to kick you out. And you're playing the old ego. You're not going to do that to me. Let me show you. I'll stay. I was one of those people. I've been through this more than once in my life. The last job, finally, I was able to just stand up and walk out. But it takes a lot to be able to do that. And you have to heal a lot of your old stuff to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I wasn't even down that path. And I did leave a job a number of years ago after over 2.5 decades. And a lot of soul searching, but I got to tell you, it got to a point where we mutually parted. But I woke up on a Monday morning and I said, Wednesday's going to be my last day. Because it just, you know what? I felt like I was the square peg, and there was I was not fitting with that anymore. But it took a lot to get to that point. But guess what? I did know. I did know.
Yeah. And see, that's, if we were taught that relationships, that will happen, because some people grow, some stay where they are, and they're not meant to grow. That's their purpose on the planet, is to stay stationary their whole entire life. Others are meant to grow and evolve and raise and heal. And if we were only taught that all relationships aren't forever with the rosy white fence and all this, you may be with someone a minute, you may be with someone 10 years, 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends.
Yeah, we're not taught that. We're definitely not. Yeah, we're taught that relationships should last forever, and in a perfect world, they would, and they should. Nothing's perfect.
Well, but think about it. Doesn't that create a lot of grief and low frequency in our society?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's people.
It's a control.
Yeah. Yep. You hold on to relationships that maybe you know that they're not right. And what does that create? Negativity, rifts, conflict.
And it keeps you from moving forward.
And it keeps you from moving forward and healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when somebody reaches out, you kind of assess where they're at, and that's a starting point.
Yes, because everyone's different. Everyone's at a different spot on the path. And it's almost like an interview. I just ask questions, and well, first I ask them what they're here for. What do you want to heal? What's your focus? And then I ask questions kind of like an interview type thing. And then I get my string. I get where I need to go. And then that's where I go.
And would you say that the majority, if not all people that connect with you are looking to heal something?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean they're ready either. They can be looking and still they can be saying it, because a lot of people go through this stage. Oh, I want to heal. I want to heal. But when it comes down to letting go of what you believe, looking at what you believe and changing it, or even just saying, I'm open to hearing something different. Oh, they're not even ready.
And do you tell them that?
It depends on the person. Some people I can, and I will be very forward and blunt with them. Others, you can't do that because they're a fragile nature, and you can't be that way with them.
You have an amazing way about you where even just talking for 30 minutes, I feel like a lot of us are getting some healing.
I hope so.
Yeah. Understanding what's going on inside and those things that we all think about, whether I should trust myself, whether I should go with my gut. Nobody else talks about this stuff. You do, which is fantastic.
Well, thank you. My whole intent, I set the intent. Anytime I talk with anybody, I am setting the intent of putting out as much healing as I possibly can to those that are receiving of it.
Yeah.
And especially like this, when I have an audience.
Yeah. And you have to be open to receiving it. That's it's so true. Kathy D. Carter is your website, Kathy with a K and Carter with a C. And somebody reaches out. What's the first step?
Usually most people, well, some people are already sure after they look at my website, they pay the money, they call me to schedule. Other people need some questions answered, and they take the 20-minute free consultation that I give them. Sure. And we talk and I answer their questions, and then they'll decide if they want to come in or not.
And one thing we didn't mention, a lot of stuff can be done virtually, especially Reiki healing.
Yes.
It's phenomenal. Trust me. It does work.
You've had some, right?
Yeah. And it can be done. You don't even have to be talking to the person on a Zoom video, which is mind blowing, but it does work. Yeah. Go to the website and check her out. Kathy, always a pleasure. Just being around you and feeling your positive energy, but also learning a lot of great stuff. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you too.
Thank you. And look forward to catching up again soon, and just trust yourself. That's what we're saying today. Trust yourself. All right, we'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.